Elections, the first phase of the Bihar Assembly elections have kicked off early today with 3.75 crore voters casting their ballots in 121 of the state's 243 Assembly constituency. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Tejashwi Yadav, all the bigwigs of Mahagathbandhan and NDA had hectic last 14 days. A lot of issues were picked up, but one thing around which this election is moved is there anti-incumbency in the state or not? In studio, I am joined by Brijesh Pandey, KV Prasad and Sumit Pandey. Sumit, to you. Generally, politicians use the word badlav ki rajniti. We call it in our studio anti-incumbency or voter fatigue. Did you see any sort of a voter fatigue or anti-incumbency?
See, as far as this entire campaign is concerned, what I could sense on the ground was that, yes, there are issues which have been raised about jobs, unemployment, development of Bihar and other things, which are certainly being discussed. Tejashwi Yadav has promised one government job per every household. Now the question is whether people are buying that or not. So, depending on their experiences over the last 20 years, the way the state's politics has spanned out, I got a sense that Nitish Kumar still holds very high credibility as far as the electorate is concerned on the basis of his performance. What I could sense was that probably the sort of anti-incumbency that he faced in 2020, 5 years back, that was probably more as compared to this time around. And
how has he renewed himself if you're saying that?
See, I think it is also the framing of an election. How the opposition has, the BJP and JDU have framed this. What do you see in this election? What is the larger framework? This election is essentially about Nitish versus Lalu once again. Do you see it as on the ground Tejashwi versus Nitish? No.
I think Lalu was absent in last elections. He was not.
RJD tried to, if you look at RJD posters, banners, hoardings, there is no prominent Lalu Yadav there. There is Tejashwi Yadav. They would want to move away from that legacy of Lalu Yadav. But BJP and NDA have sort of reiterated that. So when it becomes again, so interesting, when the elections were announced, I wrote a piece also and I would say it again, that it's yesterday once more. People would want to move ahead. There are issues which have been raised. There have been disruptions by Jan Suraj and Prashant Kishore's party. But then in the end, I had a conversation in Purnia, and then there was a motley group of youngsters from all OBC communities. Yes, they are looking for jobs, they are looking for everything. But then the caste pool and the backlog and the memories of the past are such that, it's still holding them back. It's still holding them back.
I'm joined by Ashwini Kumar. Manish also joins me. Good morning, Manish. What is the reason that anti-incumbency is not in play? Badlav ki rajniti is not in play.
See, if you look at, I would like to agree with Sumit. In fact, I was with you in 2020 channel and then cut to 2025. As a political scientist, let me spell out very quickly something very interesting and strange about in Bihar politics. 2020 was very fierce, almost what I called in my columns a sort of a youth insurgency. And they nearly, dislodged, Nitish Kumar, nearly. I remember, the vote going to the wire, possibly like, the Dhoni's 6 in 2020, it became a 2020. This time it's a 50-50 over match, So if you look at, test cricket and 50-50 and, I'm using Ashish Das' insight about politics and cricket, using metaphorically. So this time that intensity, that ferocity is missing in Bihar election. Let's admit to that. I also travel widely and I spend time in the villages also, including, Chhat Puja, etc. Because one reason is a structural, in terms of the management of election, Karthik, because the campaign time is very short and the Chhat Puja, halted that intensity, because of the religiosity and the divinity associated with Chhat Puja. Imagine, Chhat Puja emerging as the most powerful metaphor of both maternal agency and also the politics of Bihar. So one thing is clear that this election, I would not say using Rajni Kothari's famous phrase of plebiscitary politics. Not at all. Not at all. So you are missing the intensity. Or secondly, this is a normal elections, what we call normal election. And on the ground, and also in terms of the elite discourse and narrative of social media, looks like a politics of continuity, which I've been referring, the deepening of the process. See, Biharis are, first time in their living history, across generations, are realizing this, also evolving, subnational, Savalda used to say that, where is this Bihari now? In fact, my new book is about, Bihari and, that Bihariness, evolving, Bihariness, So perhaps, this is something very interesting for Bihar. I guess we need to, work towards decoding this Bihariness. And that's why, the ferocity gone. And then now the strange part of it. Somehow what has happened, the intensity has shifted towards, Jan Swaraj, because everybody is talking about Jan Swaraj, but nobody is voting for Jan Swaraj, that's the puzzle of Bihar election 2025,
Okay.
Is audible, is they have generated awareness about migration, youth impatience, generational shift, industry, etc., and more about, shift, as I mentioned elsewhere, from a vernacular modernity to a cosmopolitan modernity.
Okay.
So in urban Bihari are looking at and wanting to test that cosmopolitan modernity rather than just, go back and look at, Thekua culture, I'm using Thekua in a different sense also, but, you remember, Mare Gaye Gulfam mein kaha unhone कि बर्फी के सब रस ले गया मुनिया रे. So if Nitish Kumar was hobbled by his bad health, पिंजड़े में बंद थे Nitish Kumar, how did it happen that Nitish Kumar seems to be taking some rus of barfi?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Very, very well put, Professor. Manish, we were discussing that बदलाव की राजनीति पाँव नहीं पकड़ रही, पसार पा रही है बिहार में. But the question is, do you think that the politics of social justice of 1990s has run its course in Bihar?
Namaskar to all of you and all the viewers. So before coming to your question, I would also say that, in management, we were taught TINA factor. And that factor, there is no alternative. That factor, it seems, works nationally also, as well as in Bihar. When it comes to actually voting, every Bihari has seen what kind of transformation, whatever. I've always admitted that there are challenges. But when they go to the polling booth, they do not have trust on the alternative. In my view, I would say that is the nutshell, of Bihar politics. And obviously, this time when Professor was also talking about Jan Swaraj, it has, I do admit that it has changed a bit of narrative, and it has made us also, more responsible and responsive. So it's a good change that has happened. So, that part. But I would say that Nitish ji is someone a lot of people don't understand. I had the opportunity to work in a non-political position with him. He is much more, socially conscious and concerned about people than people give him the credit. People talk about all the shifts he has taken from here to there. But I don't think that social politics has run its course. He thinks about it, and so many of the leaders in BJP and others, they think about social empowerment. I think that is very crucial in Bihar. We have a 15 crore population, and still there are people who have not been empowered, and that is what is the churning. If you see Malla community churning, because recently, Mr. Sani was saying that how Lalu Prasad, under Lalu Prasad Yadav, he is with him, and still he told, he shared his angst that they were discriminated against, and that is why it was required to actually come up with a party of his own. So that process is still continuing, and I think we are in a good space now. Politically, a lot of communities have been empowered, and that was something which was required. But at the same time, now people have aspirations, economic aspirations also, and we are trying to fulfill that.
Okay. Faizan, do you think that the bureaucratic rationality and I won't use the word self-styled modesty, but modesty has worked for Nitish? Faizan.
Yeah. Well, You see, 20 years is a very long time to rule.
For anyone to
a
become
state
arrogant,
like
5 years, people become arrogant in 1 year, but 20 years they should become super arrogant.
Yeah, 20, and in this 20 years, he has made a record of sorts for being the longest serving Chief Minister of Bihar. You see, it is commonly said, and I have also, since I have covered Nitish Kumar for a long time, I think he depends more on his bureaucrats than his political allies or political friends or leaders of his own party. So it is alleged that he did a lot of things.
But Nitish can be credited with this phenomena. I mean to say, he can be credited with this phenomena. Narendra Modi as the Chief Minister, Nitish Kumar as Chief Minister. If you look at Yogi Adityanath as Chief Minister, even if you look at the way Telangana Chief Minister is functioning, even DMK, I mean, so you have the best example, BJD. For last 20 years, the entire apparatus of BJD was run through bureaucrats. I mean, the guy who was supposed to inherit, that was the biggest, I would say, faux pas he made. He lost the election, Kartik Pandya. So every chief minister is
that you are right, absolutely right. And when one person is in power, he has to depend on his bureaucrats to run the government and for a good governance. And for the governance of the chief minister or the prime minister, he cannot be dependable on his ministers as well as political allies. So that is true for in Bihar also. So it is generally said that the Bihar government is being run by a set of bureaucrats, and this is not wrong.
No, I mean, the bureaucrats are in the government. The fact of the matter is that the ability of Mr. Prasad, as I said, Nitish to renew himself. I mean, so twice he had been with Mahagathbandhan, but nothing. There was a very famous editorial in a business newspaper written for Dr. Manmohan Singh, the Teflon. I think Dr. Singh is not here, but the Teflon thing actually, the adjective works best for Nitish Kumar. Nothing sticks to him.
Actually, that started. The term started sometime in the Reagan era.
Okay.
That's where it picked up Teflon coating. Nothing sticks to Reagan because he talked of economic, and that's why the term in American political lexicon that came was Reaganomics. Reaganomics, because he said it is not politics, it is economics, stupid, something like that. Anyway, to move forward, the fact remains a politician, once he comes to power as a chief executive or as a chief minister, has to deliver, and that delivery can only happen on the ground by able administration. And the able administrators are these bureaucrats. Politicians can give you guidance, but they cannot be hands-on beyond a point, because the system will depend on the entire network, be it the state government, the central government, the interaction between the state and the center, the interaction between the state and the civil administration, the local administration, the whole wheel of economy will move on them. That's the way.
But another issue is indispensability. In politics, there is no love. He is also indispensable right now, Nitish Kumar. What makes him indispensable to BJP? Brijesh?
Honestly speaking, one thing is there that very rarely you find a politician who would traverse both sides, of the cliched secularism to communalism and communalism to secularism with such consummate ease. And wherever he goes, there's a phrase ki Bharat kisi ki bhi ho dulha wahi banenge kind of a thing. You'll never find a parallel in Indian politics.
Kisi ki dulha.
But I think Kartik, here BJP realizes that Nitish Kumar, despite everything, he sits over 15 to 20% of the votes. You have one bloc on the other side which commands 35%, the other bloc commands 30%. So he's the fulcrum. Whichever side he goes, you have the numbers. So it's not rocket science, and BJP realized it well before, which is why you see the difference between UP and Bihar outcome in the Lok Sabha elections also, because once you move 15% from this side to the other side, if you look at the other side also, but BJP, who has taken all kind of political risk, they have taken a risk in making Khattar the non-Jat first time it was done in Haryana. It flew against the conventional wisdom of who has what percentage, but BJP succeeded there. Bihar is the only state where BJP has not taken even 1/10 of the political audacity or the experimental nature which they have exhibited all over. The heartland state where BJP has not had a chief minister.
Professor, your thought?
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah, I just wanted to come back, a couple of things more in terms of substantive political structure of Bihar. what I have mentioned also, this bureaucratic rationality, Bavarian meritocratic, revival of that kind of a system in my larger writings. But I also recently have pointed out, the argument in my discipline about the secrets of political longevity. Let's think about Nitish also in terms of longevity. So the first element of his longevity is his moral arc. That's very unusual in a place like Bihar, notorious for caste, crime and corruption. But Nitish has somehow in last 20 years has become indispensable also because of the moral arc. And most importantly, compared to bureaucrats being, bureaucrats running Bihar, etc., etc., what we do not, pay attention to the large civic infrastructure, what I call Tocquevillian civic engagement platform, that has given, agency to women. If you just look at, Panchayati Raj system, spend time in any Bihar village, and I'm just, suggesting here, any Bihari amongst us, if he has a living memory or she has a living memory of a stable, durable, what we call in political science, civic infrastructure, engagement infrastructure through Panchayati Raj. And this is where, what he has done intelligently and smartly, implemented his guru. I remember some of my early days spent in Patna, equity within equity of Karpuri Thakurji. So what he has done, this whole package of, reservation for women in Panchayati Raj, reservation, horizontal reservation. Nobody is talking about how Nitish Kumar has done horizontal reservation, which is so radical, and it can become, a template for other states
I
to
think that's
copy.
a very relevant point which Professor is making, because he's been one chief minister who, within even the women reservation at the local bodies, there is a horizontal reservation also. For the EBCs. Now that's a unique experiment which he brought in. So there is a gender reservation, and that within that gender reservation you also have the class or caste reservation. That's something which has consolidated. He's absolutely right.
Yes, Professor.
So where I'm coming, the final point is that what we call in our literature is the associational life, That is why rather than using the term peace, I'm using social peace. If you just look at, growth, I differ, trained in economics as well, but I differ from my more celebrity economist and political scientists who do not pay attention to this coincidence of economic growth in Bihar, unusually high, although from the small base, but also social peace, has happened only because of the large civic engagement infrastructure that Nitish over time consolidated.
Absolutely, absence of social strife is very, very important in creating what you call in sociology a sense of ordinariness, which is prerequisite for fundamentally any peaceful civil society. Manish, you had raised your hand.
Yeah, I would just like to add what the other gentlemen, all of them are talking. So
Sumit here in the studio and Professor Ashwani Kumar.
Yeah, so I was heading intellectual cell, which was a non-political this thing. So Nitish ji told me about a caste which is just 2 lakhs in entire Bihar. So he said, although politically not very, very important for us, but then you come out with a scheme which will help them out because their vocation is now going out of fashion. So it's like, it's no more, technology is taking over, so do something for them. That is the kind of, ground level thinking he has, that every last mile when we talk about marginalized section of society, you think about them. I think this is what has ensured. And BJP's association is, it's the long struggle along with BJP along with Nitish Kumar. It goes during struggle days of Lalu, and that was something very different. And that is why this entire relationship has endured, barring 1 or 2 hiccups. So that relationship is something which BJP respects, and that is why when Brajesh says that the party doesn't take any steps, because his respect and his stature is as good as anyone, a national leader in the country. And one of the reasons you see that, and obviously capability factor.
Okay, Manish, let me ask this to you point blank.
Let
me ask this to you point blank. Relationships in politics can be twofold. One is institutional and another is an individual based. The relationship between Bharatiya Janata Party and Shiv Sena at that point of time was between BJP as an institution and Bala Saheb Thackeray. When Uddhav came, it completely changed. The leaders, if you recall, I'll not get into the details, they didn't go to Matushri. They expected him to meet at a neutral venue, Uddhav. And Uddhav thought, he would just inherit it and the entire leadership would go to, correct me, Brijesh, you were there covering, they would go to Matushri. It didn't happen. So in the case of JDU, my question is point blank to you, is it with Nitish or its institution? I feel that it's more to do with Nitish only.
No, actually, it's a very good synergy also. If you look at it, from the point of view of the trust factor which Nitish ji got amongst women as well as EBC and women, even Prime Minister Modi actually,
You're skirting my question. You're skirting my question. I asked you, the equation between BJP and Shiv Sena changed after Bala Saheb Thackeray. This equation is there till Nitish is there.
That was, that changed Kartikeji because of, the backstabbing which happened from them. But here, whenever we have parted ways also, you would not see the kind of acrimony and the, that happened. So it is very different. The relationship here is very, very different. Nitish ji is a very different personality. So I think that would have really ensured that, we also come back. I think personality also makes a lot of difference.
There's one anecdote, if you want to end with that in 2005 elections when Nitish Kumar first came to power, there was a lot of haggling within the NDA alliance because George Fernandez was pushing for Mr. Digvijay Singh. And and then it was, I think, Mr. Jaitley who convinced Mr. Advani to announce Nitish Kumar's name, I think, as the Chief Ministerial candidate of the alliance, and it really worked for them.
Okay, I really ran short of time. Thank you all of you, but our rolling coverage on Bihar will continue. And you reminded me of a politician, what a gentleman he was, Digvijay Singh, known as Kanhaiya ji. It's time for a short break. We'll meet on the other side.
ये दीवाना बन